Leadership beyond the episode. Why connection matters and how to stay in touch with South on Leadership. Opening hook: leadership does not grow in isolation. You can listen to a powerful message, read a great book, hear one idea that really lands, and feel inspired for a moment. But lasting leadership growth usually does not come from one moment. It comes from ongoing exposure, repeated reflection, and consistent connection. That is what today's episode is about. We are talking about the importance of staying connected to the voices, ideas, and communities that help you lead better. We are talking about why leadership development needs rhythm, not just inspiration. And we are also talking about how you can stay connected with us here at South on Leadership through our website and our social media pages. Because sometimes the next step in your leadership is not just learning one more lesson. Sometimes it is choosing to stay close to the kind of message that keeps sharpening you over time. Let's get into it. Intro and episode promise: we live in a world where attention is scattered. People scroll fast. They consume quickly. They move from one message to the next without much space to reflect. And because of that, even meaningful ideas can pass by without truly shaping the way we live or lead. That matters in leadership, because leadership is not built by occasional inspiration. It is built by repeated investment. You do not become a better communicator because you heard one good quote. You do not become more trustworthy because one podcast episode made you think. You do not become more courageous because one post motivated you for the afternoon. Growth happens when truth stays close enough to challenge you again and again. That is why leadership content matters. And that is why leadership community matters too. In this episode, we are going to talk about three things. First, why ongoing connection is so important for leadership growth. Second, why social media, when used well, can become a valuable leadership touchpoint instead of just noise. And third, how you can find and stay connected with South on Leadership as we keep building this conversation together. Let's start with the big idea. Segment 1, leadership growth needs consistency. One of the most common leadership mistakes is treating growth like an event instead of a practice. People go to a conference, they hear a message, they attend a training, they read a book, they listen to a podcast, and for a few days, they feel energized. But then the week gets busy. Pressure returns. Meetings pile up. Responsibilities compete for attention, and that moment of clarity starts to fade. Not because it was not real, but because it was not reinforced. Leadership growth needs consistency. It needs regular reminders of what matters. It needs practical wisdom repeated often enough to become instinct. It needs voices that pull you back toward clarity when distraction starts taking over. That is one reason platforms matter. A podcast gives you depth. A website gives you resources. A social media page gives you steady touch points throughout the week. Each one serves a different purpose. A longer episode may help you think deeply. A short post may remind you of one principle at the exact right time. A video clip may put language around something you have been feeling but could not quite name. A website article or resource may help you take the next step. When those things work together, they create momentum. And momentum matters in leadership because leadership has a way of pulling people into reaction mode. The more responsibility you carry, the easier it is to spend all your energy responding instead of growing. That is why staying connected to healthy leadership content is not fluff. It is fuel. It helps you recalibrate. It helps you refocus. It helps you remember who you want to be when pressure rises. Segment 2. Social media can be noise or it can be a tool. Now, let's be honest. Social media can be distracting. It can be shallow. It can be performative. It can be crowded with opinions, quick takes, and constant comparison. But it can also be useful when it is approached with intention. Social media becomes valuable when it stops being just endless content and starts becoming consistent connection. A thoughtful leadership page can give you perspective in the middle of a stressful day. It can challenge your thinking. It can encourage you before a difficult conversation. It can remind you that leadership is not just about performance, but about character, trust, discipline, and growth. That is the kind of space we want to create at South on Leadership. Not just content for the sake of posting, not noise for the sake of visibility, but meaningful leadership insight that helps you think, lead, and communicate better. Sometimes that may look like a short post about trust. Sometimes it may be a reminder about accountability. Sometimes it may be a simple thought about clarity resilience, influence, or decision making. And sometimes it may be a way of pointing you back to the deeper conversations happening through the podcast and the website. Used well, social media can become a practical extension of leadership development. It can keep good ideas in front of you. It can help you stay connected between episodes, and it can create a sense that you are part of an ongoing conversation, not just consuming content in isolation. Segment 3. How to stay connected with South on leadership. So let's make this simple and practical. If these podcast episodes are helping you grow, the best next step is to stay connected with South on leadership in the places where we are continuing the conversation. You can find us through our website at www.southonleadership.com. That is where you can check out more leadership content, resources, updates, and information connected to the work we are building. And you can also find us on our social media pages under South on Leadership. If you are listening today and you want more leadership encouragement, more practical insight, and more ways to stay connected between episodes, go look for South on Leadership on social media and follow along there. That way, you are not just catching one episode and moving on. You are building a rhythm of leadership growth. And if you know someone else who is trying to lead well, whether they are leading a team, a business, an organization, a classroom, or a family, share the page with them too. Leadership gets stronger when the conversation keeps going. Recap, so here is the heart of this episode. Leadership growth needs consistency, not just inspiration. Connection matters because leadership is shaped over time. Social media can be more than distraction when it points people toward truth, clarity, and meaningful growth. And if you want to stay connected with this community, you can find us at South on Leadership on social media and at www.southonleadership.com. Call to action here is your challenge this week. Do one simple thing that keeps your leadership growth active. Follow South on Leadership on social media. Visit www.southonleadership.com. Share this podcast with someone who is growing in leadership. And keep putting strong, steady leadership ideas in front of your mind on a regular basis. Because leadership is not built in one moment. It is built over time through consistent learning, honest reflection, and staying connected to what helps you grow. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.